Hello and welcome to another episode of Dad Bods and Bad Attitudes. I'm your host, Christopher Samela, and today I'm joined by three important guests. Of course, my co-host, Mark Davis, as well as his political consultant, Marcus Ferrell, and Patrick Guzan. Patrick, great to have you. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead and tell us, Mark, who these gentlemen are and why they're joining us today.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited. I think we got a really cool episode today, with a lot of different flavors. A little bit later, we have Sal. His title is Sal for Congress, and he's running in New York District 5. We're going to have him on. And then we got Marcus on, who's been my advisor. And we've had a lot of fun in the campaign, trying to figure out, where we're going to take it and how we're going to get there. I think this is probably the most unique campaign, Marcus, that you probably ever worked on, or what?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's without going into the detail, yelling at Trump has made you a very popular guy. And that is actually a new thing in modern politics.
That sounds right. Yeah, like a lot of people have yelled at Trump unsuccessfully, me being one of them. So kudos to Mark for cutting through the clutter.
Yes. And we're going to probably keep yelling at him too.
We're gonna
mix in some other things and some different flair. And we got a really good strategy put in place, and we got a lot to share about the campaign. We could talk a little bit about that, and we're going to talk about some breaking news too. But Patrick is in my district. You live in Parrish, right?
Yeah, I live like a mile from here.
Okay. So he lives right here. Are you an independent? Are you a Democrat? Or
I think I'm registered as an independent.
Okay,
but until 2020, I was a Republican.
Yeah.
Much like every other veteran or most other veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I feel like I told you over our lunch that I got left behind on both sides. Like, I feel like I was standing in the middle of a baseball field and everybody ran in one direction or the other. And I was just standing there looking around going, what the fuck? Sorry. Can I swear?
Yeah, you can swear as
what
much
the
as you
fuck
want.
happened
Please.
here?
Fucking go for it.
It used to be like, do you want more government? Do you want some more taxes and more like social programs? Or do you want to save some money with the federal money? And that was it. Like, like the Bill Clinton or the, George Bush kind of like presidents. And then now it's like, do you want to be democratic socialists or do you want to be fascists?
Right.
It's like, how about we just neither? Neither. How does that sound?
I think that's where like the majority of people are sitting, right? Like right there in the middle. They're just tired of the insanity. And for whatever reason, right now, the insanity is coming, and we know the reason, but the insanity is coming mostly from the right, and we just got to kind of cut out that MAGA portion and start having good debates between logical left and right discussions, But Patrick, you're a local business owner here in Parrish, right? So one of those things about being a Democrat or not a Republican, right, in Florida is, I wouldn't say it's a big deal, but would you say it's like embarrassing to say that you're not a Republican at some point? Or
I would say that in my business dealings, I don't bring it up.
Yeah.
I'm not embarrassed by it. If someone asks me a direct question, like, I will answer it. But, there's like this old, I don't even know where the saying comes from, this old saying where it's like, you agree with someone, they'll be friends with you for an hour. You disagree with them, they'll hate you for life. And, I think that's true. And when it comes to business dealings, I try to stay neutral and I don't talk politics with like my employees or, my clients. But I do think like as of the last, say, 6 to 8 months, I've been trying to be more vocal because I feel like people have to be more vocal.
Yeah.
Like we only got here because people just let it go. Yeah. Just let it go. They're like, he'll be gone. He can't really do that much. The government, we get this person, we get that person. Like, how much did your life really change between Obama and Bush? Like, it didn't, right? Like, your day-to-day life was the exact same when Bush was in office as it was when Obama was in office. Pretty much, maybe there's minor differences. So that's what we've all been used to. And then you get a guy come in and just completely ignore the way that our country was, the balance of power, the way that the government operates, the way that we're supposed to, listen to the federal courts, for example.
Yeah.
And that starts to be alarming to me because it's like, oh, we can't just wait this out. Like I said, you're not just waiting, you know. He talked the other day on the news about canceling the midterm elections. You know what I mean? Like that's
and everything's a joke.
Right.
Patrick.
Yeah, although he's just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
So
the
if
president of the United States can't kid about canceling the midterm elections. That's not a funny joke. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's going to cause riots. It's going to cause people to die.
Yeah, that's a really bad joke.
Marcus, I want to hear what you have to say on that.
No. Like, I want to level set here, man. Like, I'm a veteran too, right? I was a corpsman. I'm a hospital corpsman. Like to me, I'm still a hospital corpsman, right? Like, even though I'm a civilian, I'm a hospital corpsman. I spent like years giving Z-Packs to Marines, right? Like, Doc, my pee-pee hurts, my dick hurts. All right, I got you, homeboy. Whip it out. And yeah, no homo, but like no diddy, but whip it out, right? Like it is what it is. I didn't even mean to say that. Sorry to anyone who's watching who's a part of any affiliation. Here's my thing. And I want to level set when it comes down to why I'm in politics, because you just said something beautiful, but also like, to me, the reason why I joined the service was because I wanted to see the world. And what I found out by being in the American military was one thing that I still feel to this day. The Constitution means something to me. When I was fighting for, and I fought for my veteran status, when I was fighting for it, I remember thinking to myself, I wonder if people at home care. We tend to utilize the military as a place, as almost like a placeholder for like what's American and what's not. I am a fan of any veteran because we put our lives on the line voluntarily. Now, if you're alive and you're a veteran right now, you probably didn't get drafted. There's very few of us who didn't get drafted. But my main thing is this right here. I look at the military, I look at the work that is done in the military as the pure essence of what and how we're supposed to enforce the Constitution. The current administration that we're dealing with right now is like, how do you say, I hate the Constitution, I hate veterans, if they were a Constitution? So here's how I think about these things. Veterans have first choice, first right. Veterans are not conservative or liberal. Veterans are veterans because we all come from different aspects of the community. What I don't like is ICE claiming veteran status over working for a guy who wants authoritarianism. I hate that part. So my thing is always going to be one thing and one thing simple. Yes, I'm a black veteran. That means I'm black and I'm veteran. I see people who don't have as much training with pew-pews as I do getting to point pew-pews at people who are executing their constitutional right. I have a fucking problem with that, cuz. I have an organic problem with that. And I'll leave it at that.
Everybody should have a problem with that, Marcus. I like the way that you phrased it, and it's tragic because folks that are executing their right to free speech and to assemble in public are being executed for doing so. There's no other way to put it. These two individuals, and they're not the only ones, and there apparently are more who have been killed in custody. But specifically on the street, at least 2 American citizens have been murdered. There was another one who was shot and somehow she survived. Not to mention all the other obscenities that you see these thugs perpetrate on the streets of America right now, particularly in Minneapolis. So, Marcus, I think you articulated it very well. If you're not appalled by this, if you're watching this and you find yourself not appalled by what is going on in the streets of America at the hands of agents of the state, ostensibly, I don't know what's wrong with you. You need to look deep inside yourself and say, why is it okay that any of this is going on? Because there are people that think this is okay. that they think that Alex Preddy had a gun in his hand and was leveling it at these ICE agents, which is so far from the truth that all you need to do is look at any video evidence or photographic evidence to see it's completely not the case.
So
They're
I want to hear
any way they can, Mark, to excuse the behavior. They're twisting themselves in knots to do it. I don't understand it, because this isn't even like you're trying to excuse somebody's policy. You're excusing murder, state-sponsored murder.
That part.
I want to hear, like, so Patrick, you were in the military, right? You were in the Navy, and you had a pretty important job in the Navy, right? You want to kind of explain what your job was in the Navy, and you are a centrist. You're more of an independent mind. How do you feel about this ICE? Because I'm sure you do understand that there are good people that work for ICE, and at the same time, there's a lot of wrong.
I think two things. I have a bunch of things, honestly. This ICE thing, I've rarely in my life been kept up at night by political issues, because I've always seen them as passing. Like I said before, Obama wants to have universal health care, but the next guy can just get rid of it. Right. Whatever, we got to live with it for a while, or maybe you want it, or whatever it is. I don't know. But this is, to me, is a departure from anything that has ever happened since World War II. Like, the last time we did something like this is when we rounded up all the Japanese Americans and stuck them in a baseball field and made them live there. You know what I mean? And we're not at war with Mexico, so you don't even have that excuse. You know what I mean? Like, so what's the excuse? I think, and not to get too philosophical on you guys, it goes back to, like, we have abandoned a lot of the basic principles that make a Western civilization what it is, right? We as a Western society decided, even before the United States, like when they wrote the Magna Carta in like the 1300s, one of the things that we decided in the Magna Carta was we are going to treat people as individuals under the law, right? We didn't do that for like 1,000 years afterwards or whatever, but we thought, we had the thought, we're going to treat people as individuals under the law. And we're not doing that. Like, if anybody ever had a question of why should we look at people as individuals devoid of their sexual preferences, their race, their, religious orientation, whatever it is, right? This is it, right? Like, we are mass rounding people up based on their accents and the color of their skin.
Yeah.
And that's not good, right? And that idea is not a left or a right idea. It's been employed by both parties for a little bit now. Probably the last like 7 to 10 years, I've noticed that people are becoming more comfortable with the idea of grouping people together into one group, and like, that's your culpability. You're a white dude, you're a racist. You're a Hispanic guy, you're illegal. You're a dude, like, you're part of the rape problem. And like, while I do see the point that people are trying to make when they say stuff like that, I think it's extremely important that we return to individual responsibilities and culpability, because when we don't do that, then you give the leeway to the government or some other governing body to go out and start rounding people up and just applying this mass culpability to them. And I think that's so that's my first thought. It's extremely dangerous to do that and allow that to happen. My second thought is, how do we get to a point, and this is what I've been thinking about a lot, and I'm sorry I'm hijacking this right now, but I've been thinking about this for a couple weeks now. How do we get to a point where everybody can sit down and watch a video from like 10 different angles of what happened, and then 50% of the country thinks one thing and 50% of the country thinks the other thing?
Yeah.
And I think the reason that we're doing that, and part of the reason that these MAGA people are doing it, is what's that called when you like get too far into something and you don't want to back out now?
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like
that's
lost
what it is. You don't even need
theory,
a special
right?
description or adjective for that or a word for that, Patrick. That's what it is. They are so far invested in this thing, they can't extricate themselves to say, I was wrong.
Yeah.
They would rather not say, because Orange Jesus never says he's wrong. Okay?
No, he doesn't.
He never says he's wrong.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, it's called spent. That's what it's called. Spent cost.
Spent. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Have you heard that before?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like the spent cost of what you've already put into this. Like, it's like the gambler, right? Well, I lost $50.
Yep.
Now I got to get it back. So you put $50 more and then you lose that. Now you got to get $100 back. Next thing you know, you're taking a mortgage out on your house and going to Vegas. Well, these people took their mortgages out on their house in 2024.
I know it's sunk cost fallacy.
Sunk cost. That's the word. Sorry, I sound like an idiot. But you get it.
It's all right.
Patrick, if I may.
That's the theory I'm talking about. And I think these people have like that sunk cost of it's like, okay, what have we bet on this now? And what do we have to give up, both morally speaking? Like the Christians of this nation let the grab them by the pussy guy become the poster child for the Bible. How did that happen? You know what I mean? Walk into a Baptist church right now and just go, grab him by the pussy. Just see what happens. They'll throw you the fuck out of there so fast, they'll make your head spin.
Marcus, why don't you weigh in on that, and then we're going to let Sal into the conversation.
Hey, first off, what's up, Sal? Again, thank you for letting me on the podcast. What you just said, my brother, is so true. But I'm a big fan of yes and, right? So I'm a yes and this for 1 second. Black people have been warning y'all about this for years.
Yeah.
And what happened was the otherism of America became more important than what was actually like happening. So when I say the word George Floyd, just follow me for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Videotape, problematic situation, immediate actions from the state to say he was on drugs. Like let's figure out what was wrong with him first.
Yeah.
Besides the fact of this guy got killed on camera.
Right. Yeah.
Right? I'm black. The people that historically have gone out of their way to make it a point to always point out the background of somebody instead of going about the Constitution that I put my life on, it has been automatically unfair. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to make this statement. And I made it a lot on my channel, Marcus Ferrell Live. And I'll make it again right now. And I don't want nobody to get offended. But you know what's really happening right now? America is finding out, white America is finding out what it feels like to be black.
Right. Yeah.
We've been going through this.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense.
Because the NRA, since Reagan and the Panthers over in California, when Reagan decided, hey, we're not doing guns in California no more because black people showed up to this session. Do your history, Google it. Reagan decided, Reagan was the institutional father of like banning guns, right?
Yeah. Well, I
That
mean,
was
look how quick they were to label that guy, right? I mean, just in an instant, that guy was a crazy leftist liberal terrorist.
Assassin,
in an instant, without knowing
terrorist.
anything about him.
Yeah. Well, so even more than, here's what I'm gonna do for your fan base, because I'm angry, right? Like I'm angry like you guys are. I am. I'm really angry. But I'm angry, but I'm also expressing what the black sentiment is right now.
Yeah,
and the black sentiment is right now, we told y'all.
But I want to introduce Sal Padellaro, a candidate for Congress. Joining the show, Dad Bods and Bad Attitudes. We've got Mark Davis, candidate for Congress in District 16 of Florida. He's joined by Patrick, business owner in his district, as well as Mark's political consultant, Marcus Ferrell. So with that in mind, Patrick was just going to respond to something Marcus, a very powerful statement that Marcus was just making. And then Sal, we'll go to you and we'll start to weave you into the conversation.
Awesome.
Cool. So Patrick, go ahead with that.
So just to, I think there is a difference between what's happening now and what happened to George Floyd. And I don't think that what happened to George Floyd is trivial or anything like that. And I'm not trying to take away from the African-American experience in America. I'm not black. I have been a white dude from the Midwest and then the South my whole life. No one's ever looked at me twice. So I'm not. I was from Ohio, and then I went to North Carolina after that, and then South Carolina, then Georgia, then here. So I've been kind of all over the U.
Yeah,
I just keep going down. But there's this really famous clip of Antonin Scalia talking to the Senate, and he says that, every country in, every dictatorship, the USSR, all of them, they all had a Bill of Rights, and some of them were better than ours. Like, technically, if you were to read the Bill of Rights from the USSR, it reads better than ours does. But the difference between the USSR and the United States is the Constitution and how our balance of power is set up, and how we operate our government is what informs our ability to enforce the Bill of Rights. And what's happening right now is that not only is the government ignoring the Bill of Rights, they're ignoring the Constitution architecture in general in order to complete a task nobody wants them to complete. And they're doing it with a armed, masked police force who does not give you their name. They don't have a badge. There's nothing about them that is identifiable. They show up armed with, in my opinion, overarmed.
Mm-hmm.
I have plenty of guns, and I'm not afraid of guns, but it's just a fact that if you're going in to do surgical removal of violent criminals, you either bring the SWAT team or, you don't send in 60,000, armed, body armored, masked dudes. Like, that's not how it works here. And what is happening now versus what happened to George Floyd is an officer overstepped and killed George Floyd. And that was a terrible thing that happened. And the country revolted effectively. And, how that all went down is its own conversation. But what's happening now is the federal government is sanctioning, from my view, and I don't know everything, but undertrained, overarmed, non-identified agents to come into a city and effectively operate with immunity. To include violating an American citizen's constitutional rights, and forget killing people, they're kidnapping Americans. Like, obviously, killing people is bad. We can all agree on that. But, like, they're kidnapping Americans. They're pepper spraying people for recording them. I've seen a bunch of videos of people taking down people's information because they're recording an ICE agent, and the ICE agent says, we're going to put you on a domestic terrorist watch list. Like, that's not a violation on the federal level, a sanctioned violation on the federal level of your constitutional rights.
Agreed 100%. I think, because I had conversations with Marcus about this in detail. And he wouldn't let me off the hook, and he kept saying, but this, And I think, like, I'm not to speak for Marcus, I think he got kicked off or something here.
Yeah, I hate that
he fell off and he hasn't come back, but I will let him in when he returns.
But it was like, and this is what hit me, what he said, is like, with Black Lives Matter, you didn't have establishment Democrats come out and support Black Lives Matter. You didn't have that huge support from establishment Democrats, but now you see white people get killed by ICE agents, and now you have all this support from establishment Democrats, so they kind of feel like, okay, you had a few far left Democrats or whatever that really stood up and spoke out for us, but where were, like, the establishment ones, the ones that have been there forever? Where were they at when Black Lives Matter?
Arbitrary. There are things happening, and it's infiltrating through society by design. This is all premeditated. And I think I would just comment that two things. That one is, to your point, constitutional rights violations are now routine.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. Murder, it doesn't have to just be murder. It doesn't have to just be kidnapping. They have ICE agents that have raped women.
For sure.
Going beyond that, they have people that are having their civil rights violated literally around the clock in Minneapolis, around the clock, and around the country, by the way, not just in Minneapolis. So they are doing it in the most routine sense of taking people's phones, smacking people's phones out of their hand. They're recording, which they are, they have their First Amendment right to do. Illegal search and seizure. They're violating their Fourth Amendment all over the place. And this is happening regularly. Obviously, a man was exercising his Second Amendment right to carry a licensed firearm and wasn't brandishing it, and he was murdered. So they're violating everything that is relevant in their sphere of influence. They're violating all of it. And I would just comment that to what Marcus was saying is, I could understand a black person saying, in effect, that what's happening now is really no different than our experience to begin with. Now it's systematized and it's from the federal government down, almost mandated, go get those immigrants, go get those brown people, go get anybody who gets in our way. But I can also understand black folks saying, look, what happened to George Floyd is not uncommon, and we experience that in our community. So now you're waking up to the fact that people who abuse power and feel emboldened because they think they can get away with it, like the cops in Minneapolis who killed Floyd, they thought they could get away with it, as have others that have been law enforcement that have murdered someone. Now you see for real when it is unleashed on society in the form of a paramilitary army, that it can happen to anybody, rudimentary, just person in society, could happen to any of us now. It's showing that even a white guy can get killed on the street.
It's hard to watch, man. When you see it on
Horrifying.
TV, and I just get sick to my stomach, and I can't understand how, whatever your political background, how you can put up with that. You know, the
I
whole
don't know how you
"don't
can
tread on me"
justify it.
thing.
Yeah.
But Mark, let's
all
go
right.
to Sal. What do
Yeah.
you think? Let's get Sal an introduction.
Yeah, how's it going, guys? No, I mean, I'm right there in the same boat. I think it's absolutely horrifying. My family is completely immigrants. So, you know, we came to Italy we came to America when I was very young. That is, though, my family, unfortunately, I've had to not cut off, but most of them are Trump supporters. So a lot of Italians just, I feel like, naturally went that way. I'm not sure why. I like retained a few family members that were normal or whatever, but a lot of them are just obsessed with this whole MAGA thing still. So I'm trying to navigate that. But
Phil,
I try to tell them, like, when I first put, like, my community in my district is almost completely made out of Black people, Caribbeans, and immigrants. And one of the first things that I put on my website was, I am the son of Sicilian immigrants, because it's something I've been proud of my whole life. I've never felt like I had to have a reason to walk outside and be scared. I know that, like, my whole family, they're supporting this guy right now. Meanwhile, they could be probably deported any second. Like, if you were to look at them and just say, boom, they came here when they were that age, get rid of them, they could do that to my entire family. I was born here on a vacation, basically, luckily. So I have, like, born in America, went back there, came back. Yeah. So it's horrifying to me. I put that in my profile, even tried to, you know, say it. I'm like, listen, guys, this is terrifying. They're like, no, they're just doing their job. So I'm trying to get through to people like, this is not normal. I'm also studying to get into law school next year, trying to finish this degree, and just going through the Constitution again this year, going through each and every amendment, going through what the founders were talking about when they wrote the thing. I've honestly been a little bit, you know, I've been like more confused than ever. It seems like it was almost set up as like a paper card house, waiting for some, like, yes, all those protections are there, but it's just so weird that everything is so vague that it was almost waiting for a guy like Trump to come in and play every loophole. So now, like you said, we have paramilitary. No one was worried about it before. Everyone was like, oh, they're just doing their jobs. It's immigration enforcement. Now people are getting disappeared off the streets, like you said, completely just kidnapped. I mean, they go up to 15-year-old kids. Hey, where are you from?
Right.
I'm from
Where are
blah,
your
blah, blah.
papers?
Yeah. Oh, sounds like you got an accent. Turn around and put your hands behind your back. That is like democracy is like, and I don't want to say it's gone, but like we are like we're at that edge. So I really,
we're teetering right now.
Totally. And I'm trying to like get through to people. A lot of people still, I feel like, aren't taking it. Like, Mark, every day we're shouting out in the threads like, this is what's going on. Is it just me, or do you feel like 40%, maybe it's still half of America is still not taking it as serious as they should, right?
100%. Yeah,
there's a ton of people that still need to wake up.
I'm like,
there's
you
a
guys,
major
they're kicking in
contingent.
your door and taking your son now. What has it reached you yet? Like the severity of the matter, and the incumbent here keeps funding ICE. So
I do have a theory about, you know, what you were saying about he's pissing off everybody. I do think that by the time November comes around, he's going to piss off so many people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, by that time, he's going to impact your wallet. You're not going to be able to outrun him.
Yeah.
He's going to impact your family. He's going to impact your wallet. He's going to impact your healthcare. You know, there's something that one of his shitty policies have done to you that is, I think, by the time November comes around, it's going to be very difficult for them to sell their story, personally.
And all for what? To enact. I mean, I have this theory that he wants us to revolt en masse so that he can enact martial law. Like he's trying to play us into this mess.
Yes. So Sal, I wanted to ask you what district you're in. You're in New York?
Yeah, I'm in New York City, Jamaica, Queens, District 5. It's represented by Gregory Meeks. He's an establishment, entrenched corporate Dem, elected in the mid-90s. He's approaching 80 years old and just takes in APAC donations, chair of the foreign affairs. So all his attention goes to foreign affairs. The people in this community said they haven't felt heard in maybe over a decade. And the last time they held a meeting with him, he like shrugged them out, and he hasn't met with constituents since it's been over 3 years.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Totally unacceptable. And, you know, this is not the kind of representation that I think the founders expected. They certainly didn't expect people to serve 30 years worth of House terms, because that's number one, people weren't living 30 years. But I mean, even if they did, you know, they're not.
Are we burying you
you're
there?
supposed to go. They wanted like tradesmen and merchants and lawyers to represent. You put in 2, 4, 6 years, and then you're out of there. And then the next guy or gal goes in. Well, at the time, women could, but the next person goes in. And
I think that
that's
brings
what
up
the idea was, not what this guy's doing.
I think that brings up a good point. Like, what are you guys' opinion on term limits?
I said in one of another podcast, they're like, how long do you want to be there? Listen, I wanted to be a veterinarian and then open up a bunch of restaurants. I didn't want to have to save like planet Earth right now in the middle of all this, but here we are. Now I'm trying to be a lawyer, do all this crap. I think like right now, would you just ask Mark? Say that one more time.
Term limits.
Term limits. I think right now we need to get in there. I say we fix things. We create and implement this new structure, something that's actually working class for working class. It's back to the people have the power in their hands. And then you're in and out. 6 years, I feel like max. I don't want to die in Congress. I want to get back to doing what I love, which I love politics now. I love the law. So I would love to legislate. I would love to help people create laws that benefit working class Americans. That's my dream. I don't want to sit there forever and have to hope and pray I win this election. Once I complete the job, I want to be done and just have left that legacy. 2, 3 terms, whatever. But definitely don't want to be 82 and like, I might retire.
Yeah. Right.
Well, so we have some breaking news in our district, Sal, that
Let's go to that,
we have
Mark.
an old gentleman too that's been running.
Mark, do I have any sound
Buchanan.
effects I can put in for breaking news?
Like,
I don't, do I?
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Sal. Thank you.
Just a tiny alarm.
But yeah, Vern Buchanan just dropped out of the race.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who are you against, Mark?
Well, I was against Vern Buchanan,
but just
so now what's that?
It was just him though, right? Or no,
Just
you have
him,
another one.
right? So now I'm going to the general election, and then I'll be against whoever comes out of the primary for the Democrat.
And you don't have to get signatures for petitions?
I can either pay or get signatures.
Interesting. Okay, I don't know if we can pay here, but
yeah.
And Mark,
look that up.
I would think the Republicans will definitely throw someone up quickly to stand in his place.
Yeah, I would assume so. But
maybe they'll get that. Maybe they'll get the Nancy Pelosi guy.
Yeah. So that
dude, no one they have is doing anything. I swear, it's the people like us trying to stand up right now that really have like the spine to do it. Everybody else, where they're like, do you mind running? It's like it's not going to work. It's not authentic. I feel like it needs to be the fighters right now.
100%.
Agreed. The passion, right? The people that are trying to passionately change. And in my opinion, it has to be somebody that's willing to, you know, kick Trump and Vance and Stephen Miller, you know,
square in the
every
balls
single one
first.
Yeah.
And then,
if I may, you know, I think there's an opportunity right now for people to create a grassroots political party.
Yeah.
I could not, and I was saying this earlier, Sal, before you got on, as like just a person living in the USA right now, I could not feel more disenfranchised by both political parties than I do. Yeah. Like, I couldn't feel less in line with the Republican Party as a whole and less in line with the Democratic Party as a whole than I do right now. Like, I swear to God, if they walk that old son of a bitch up in front of the news again and make him talk about how he's going to stop Trump, I'm going to lose my shit.
Chuck,
you know what I mean?
I'm like, which one at this point?
Yeah, I know, right? But But I mean, like, here's the thing. People elected Trump because they thought he couldn't be bought, and they were wrong. Yeah. But I don't think that opinion is gone. I think that people want a grassroots movement of like, hey, we like, what was that guy? Who's your governor or mayor, Mamdani or whatever his name is? He, and if I said his name wrong, I'm sorry.
No, that was right.
I know there's a TikTok sound about saying his name wrong, so don't cancel me. But
Andrew Cuomo pissed him off.
Yeah, he what is it? He didn't take a donation over like a certain amount of money. It was like $10 or $25 or something like that. And like, I think that's a big part of why he got elected. I think people were like, hey, this guy's not bought and paid for by some drug company or the military industrial complex or whatever it is, you know? And like right now, people don't want to see a bunch of old, like boomers effectively running the country because they're the ones that fucked it up to begin with. They were born into literally the best economic, social, and political atmosphere that they could have been born into, and they proceeded to fuck that up so badly that now all of us are sitting around going, how the fuck are we going to fix this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What are we up to? 39 trillion in debt or something?
Yeah, like we're all sitting around like, how the hell are we going to fix this? And, you know, I think, you know, from a high conceptual level, and I'll be honest with you, I build companies. I don't have any idea how to build a political party, and so far be it from me to tell you guys what to do. But if y'all could put together a group of guys like yourselves, younger politicians that want, Mark told me over lunch, like, I hate asking for money, right? That's what you said. You said, I don't want to ask people for money, blah, 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 blah. And I know you can't play the game without asking people for money, and I get it. But like, even if you could build a whole thing on, hey, we're only taking $10. I don't care if you're Bill fucking Gates, and I don't care if you're homeless. If you want to give us $10, great, we'll take it. And if you don't have $10, we'll take 2 hours of your time. You know what I mean? If you want to help. If not, fine, great, move on. But I do think that we desperately need a third political party. And I've been told this my whole life. So has everyone else. We've all heard this before. If you don't vote for Democrat or Republican, you're wasting your vote. How many fucking times has someone said that to you? 100 times? 1,000 times? I don't even know. I've heard that so many times. And it's bullshit. It's not true. That's not how our political system works. You know? And so
that's well, here's the thing. It is how the political system works, Patrick. That is how it works right now.
I think because Chris,
I mean, that's not how the architecture of our political system was constructed.
It doesn't have to work that way, but it
they
does
did that on
that
purpose too. You got this whole two-party thing was on purpose so they could remain in control until we finally figured it out, and then we had to try our hardest to break out of it and create a third party. People always ask, and not like the Green Party. I don't want to hear any of this Green Party stuff. Like it like lost its steam for me. I don't know, like maybe it had but like this needs to be like a fighter will fight to the death party. Everybody always asks me like, do you think two parties represent all of America? And every town hall I do, and I'm like, absolutely not. And I don't want to like say create a million parties, but like we need like 5 to 10 parties. What if there was something that represented like all types of people's interests and you finally felt seen no matter what, and it had an equal shot? I just feel like that's where we need to at least get
or a party that asks the people like, what's your main issues?
Yes,
you know, that's what I'm gonna, you know, like
we
I
will
was talking to
prioritize
somebody
that.
We have here in our district, we have a big port that is potentially conceptually being built. It's like near Tampa, right?
It's on this side of the bridge, but yeah, it's on Snake Key or whatever.
Yeah. So, you know, that's a big issue, you know, and if you stand on one side of that issue where you don't want it built, then you're not having the jobs and you're not having the economic, you know, impact from that. But if you're on the other side of that issue, then you hate the dolphins and, you know, your fishing things are going to be, you know, so.
Yeah, I was saying like basically, I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say about Greg again. Something that had to relate to that.
You mean the current incumbent?
Yeah. Sorry, Mark. What were you saying before that? I had a very
What's
long
that?
day. What were you talking about?
You're too young for this kind of
My
senile
God, if
stuff.
only you guys knew what I just went through. I had to make ice cream for our founder today. I've been in meetings since 7 a.m. So my brain, I've been talking all day. I'm like,
Yeah. No, it's just about asking politicians, you know,
Thank
like
you.
like are politicians asking the people? And so like so
Yes.
somebody asked me, what's your opinion on that, Mark? And I was like, you know what, I really don't,
Yeah.
I haven't dug into it, and I couldn't give you an honest opinion. I was like, are they, when they're building that port, or is it going to be green? Are they going to make sure that
Yeah.
you know it's safe
Yeah.
for the water? Like, I don't
Well,
know.
they want a
Like, I gotta,
knee-jerk reaction, Mark, so that you can
right.
get
So
bucketed into
you got to
something
bring
before
stuff
you've
like
even
that to the
looked into it.
community and ask them, like, what do you guys think about the port? You
I
know,
was
like
gonna
what's
say,
your reason? Yeah.
you know, I
What?
did a town hall a few days ago with a couple different people that, so since for the 3 years that Gregory Meeks hasn't been performing town halls or seeing these people to hear out their needs, they have protested every single week since that day. So I'm working with a few different groups right now of really, really strong individuals, Palestinians, Christians, Jews. It's made up of gym teachers, lawyers, everyone in the community from all different ends. And they were like, listen, we officially want to back you. Like, what can we do to help? So they were saying, and how will you craft policy moving forward? Because this guy just sits in his office and then we find out about a bill being passed the next day. No one here knew anything about anything in that bill. I would love to make, like, I don't know about you. I have like the energy. I want to make politics like interactive and immersive within the community. I would love to have like monthly or quarterly town halls where we get people together or stakeholders and leaders from the community and we talk policy proposals together, and people from different ends of the spectrum are allowed to provide feedback, input, and then as a community we come up with those bills that are going to make a like severe impact on people's lives. But
Now,
I
hang
feel
on,
like if we
Sal.
make, yeah,
But Sal, hang on. Who's going to be paying all the bribes?
no, literally. Well, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. I won't even take a bribe.
I'm
Just
glad to hear that.
people out.
Well, like the thing with having, you know, a third, like I was saying about this whole third party thing, the thing with it is, and I think, you know, from a strategy perspective, one thing you guys should be leery of is focus on the issues and not on the negatives. And that's a hard thing to do. It's hard not to just go, there's so much shit to go on and be like, fuck Trump and fuck this guy and fuck that guy. And yeah, fuck all those guys. Fuck them. I hate them. But more importantly, like, yeah, we're all divided. Everybody knows that. Like, we're good. Like, we all know that we're divided. But I think if you were to start a party that just fucking was like, this is what we want to do. Because if you listen to any Democrat or any Republican right now, they will tell you what they want to stop someone else from doing, but not what they want to do to make your life better. Like,
Write a book. You know, somebody should write a book, and we've talked about doing this in our campaign, of what it means to be a Democrat in 2026, you know,
yeah.
and just list it out, or whatever the party is. If that's starting a new party, like, this is what you think about this topic, and this is how we're going to tackle these policy
What does it mean to
issues.
be a Republican?
Yeah, like, who cares?
Protecting
Because what it means to be a Republican right now is whatever Trump said yesterday. And what it means to be a Republican tomorrow is going to be whatever Trump said today. And it's the same thing, though, with Democrats. Whatever you are as a Democrat today is whatever Trump said yesterday, you hate that. And then tomorrow, he does it so fast, too, that you can't even keep up.
And
so
on
the
the other
best way to
side,
combat that is to not play.
I think,
Don't
Patrick,
play.
you make a good point. The issue is that this guy, we allowed this guy to hijack the countries. I've said for a while now that, number one, I've said that he's a fascist for 10 years and nobody listened to me. And he's hijacked the country, and he's holding us for ransom for all intents and purposes. Like, everything he does is blackmail and extortion. And it elicits the kind of response that it now is eliciting, the kind of response it should have elicited earlier. And obviously we were able to have a reprieve for 4 years where Joe Biden was president. But, you know, like you're saying, everything can't be a reaction to this guy, and it really wasn't that way. I mean, I'm old enough to remember voting for Al Gore against George Bush and voting in elections subsequent to that, and listening to my parents and being aware enough in my teens of politics to know it wasn't always entirely real. It wasn't anything resembling this, but the guy that we have put in charge for the better part of a decade, he is a raving madman, and he's a narcissistic, psychopathic, criminal, lunatic. And this is what you get. And so therefore the response is that meets that is, unfortunately for you, in the sense of what you're describing, is nobody can come out and give you a platform. It's hard to give a platform because everybody's still consumed with this maniac who overruns everything. So that will be my argument there.
So
that
was actually my challenge, right? So
yeah, I think it is your challenge, Mark.
Right. And what we've been able to do was kind of tie into some of that outrage because people weren't listening. People, if you were calm about it, people weren't engaging with it. And to kind of combat some of that MAGA mentality that you saw before the election, you know, coming from the right, and the Joe Rogans and all those clips being cut up, you had to feed these people like 15 or 20-second clips to kind of grab their attention, you know.
That gives me so much hope.
You know, but through that, you know, how my campaign kind of came up was through that the anger that people are feeling out there, you know. And I think it kind of gave them a little bit of a release that said, hey, that guy's angry, I have a right to be angry now, right?
Yeah.
Like, I thought about it, but I didn't quite act on it. But yeah, that white guy right there, if that white guy's angry, I should be angry, right? Kind of thing. But you're right that, like, at some point we gotta say, okay, it's time to tune this guy out, and nobody is even like, at some point he's just going to be talking into the wind, right? Like, nobody's going to be listening to him. But we do need that structure going forward of, these are our core values and this is why we believe in this, and kind of like what they did for Project 2025, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, you know, there's a certain set of inherent core values that came with being a Western culture that we are not exhibiting. Like what I said earlier about individual liberties, individual responsibility, like those things, our country and a lot of other countries too are not exhibiting those qualities anymore. And I think that's a huge part of our problem right now. And you can tie that into a lot of different like problems that we have. And then another kind of core value that we used to have, and I don't know when we got away from this. I'm too young, I think it was even before. We used to have a universal agreed upon, like, hey, we're all gonna go by this. Like, and it was science, period. Like, we're gonna go by what the science says. Science can be wrong, and we know that, but they don't have a political affiliation, they don't have some sort of like belief system. They're just looking at data, and then that's what we're going with. And now that's gone. Like, there is no universal language anymore. There's no universal accepted truth. It's just, hey, like, fuck it. What do you believe? And whatever you believe, like, yeah, let's violently say that we should, like, people legitimately believe right now that their religion should run a country. And that's, in the United States, that's a scary thing.
Terrifying.
I mean, that was unheard of when I was a kid. I mean, you just didn't hear people talk about that. There was always this idea of separation between, you know, church and state, and, you know, if the schools, public schools, are, you know, a function of the state government or the public, you know, the county government or whatever, you're not going to imbue it with religious teachings, and that has manifested in some public schools around the country, even in Florida. You know, they're trying to inject that in there.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I'm turning 34 this year, but when I was a kid, I went to a Catholic school. I begged to go to a public school after like 6th grade. So I went to Catholic school up until like 6th grade. You respected people's religion. Like, you did not bring it up. You didn't bring it up in public. You didn't tell other people's kids about it. You didn't bring it up at school, and you didn't try to put your views on other people. Like, it was very serious back then. Even my parents would tell me, like, always respect people's religion. That's not something to bring up here in this space, this and that. Now it's like people are like, well, the Lord Jesus Christ with that, like, they're going like all American Horror Story cult on us.
Yeah. And the weird thing is, like, I think that religion aspect is why my parents are so ingrained in MAGA, that they won't leave, that they think that the MAGA community is where Christianity is and where it's being spread. And
my family's
I don't
not
think
like
they're doing
that at
any
all
favors
now.
for that religion.
I'm like, why do you like that now? We have never, since then, I was like, I want to go to Catholic school because the cool uniforms. We were Catholic, but not that serious about it.
Yeah,
So
sure.
now they're all like, and they're not Catholic. And my dad got away from the Trump stuff, but my mom is just like, she's loving it. I'm like, Mom, nothing he does is stuff you like, but still they love him. And I'm like,
they're not,
Yeah.
because they're not really. They're like Patrick was making the point before. They can't. It's the sunk cost fallacy. They can't come out of it. They're too invested in it to come out of it. There's some of that to it, and then there is also the idea that I'm not sure because I have someone that I work with who is like that as well. I don't know that she ever actually listens to anything he says and intellectually digests it to understand how stupid and fucking insane he is. Because nothing he says makes any fucking sense or is grounded in the truth. And I don't think that they comprehend it they just think he is an avatar against status quo. But the guy, meanwhile, is a billionaire grifter.
Is the status quo. Like,
he is the status quo, which is billionaires getting richer.
And he's a phony at the same time. He's a con man.
They created this
blows
war
my
on woke.
life. Like,
And
if
the
anything,
war on
I
woke.
thought, if I'm a supervillain con
Like
man,
it became stupid
I
to
would
be
be
smart.
sly about it. I would be sleek. I would have to, you know what I mean? This guy's like, I have normalized
And at least you would
corruption.
look good in a suit, Sal. You know what I'm
Right?
saying?
You know, this guy can't even look good while doing it. He's
No.
normalized corruption and it's ugly.
Well,
yes, Mark, I want to ask you, to Patrick's point about like an idea of a policy platform. It'd be like a handful, 3, 4 items of yours, and then we'll go to Sal. What are the core platform items for Mark Davis for Congress? And then we'll go to Sal.
Yeah. So number one, I think the big one has to be accountability, and that's holding Donald Trump accountable, Vance accountable. This whole administration, in my opinion, is tainted. They're fascist, and they got to go. And holding the powers to be accountable. If you don't hold them accountable, we're just going to repeat this at some point.
Right.
I do believe in universal health care. I've been in the health insurance business, and I've sold health insurance. I did really well with health insurance, and there is nothing more crooked than the health insurance business.
Take it from him. I mean, he's made a living in the business, and he's telling you we need universal health care.
Yeah, it's a mess, and it's going to save the country money, and we're going to have better care. And
right.
I've talked to people in different countries about it, and they sometimes point at Canada that they can't find doctors, but that's like northern Canada where hardly anybody lives. Even in America, if you're in the middle of North Dakota in a town that doesn't have anybody in it, it's going to be difficult to find a doctor. So it's just making sure that we're using facts against facts, and if you line that up, universal healthcare just makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Smart. I am a huge proponent of the Second Amendment. I am a gun owner, but I think the laws in Florida specifically are way too lax. I don't think there's a reason that you necessarily need a conceal. I think you should have some permits for concealing weapons, or I think it's a little bit too easy to find a gun in Florida. And, I don't think anybody wants kids going into schools with AR-15s, but at the same time, I don't think anybody wants their guns taken away. So we just got to find something logical there. And then lastly, my big agenda point is public not just public education, but we could talk about that, but is free tuition. And the reason is because there's young kids coming up, they're looking at buying a home, and they are broke, right? And they have these huge college debts. And how are they going to buy a first home when the average price is $400,000 or $500,000, for a home? And then they got all this, and at the same time, we don't want our home values.
Student loans.
Right. We don't want our home values to go down. That doesn't help anybody either. So we got to give these people a chance. And, the exorbitant wealthy people are going to have to pay for it. So
that's it. Go ahead, Sal. Let's hear some platform pillars from Sal for Congress in District 5, New York.
Things my incumbent would never say. Ready? So I am also big believer in Medicare for all, universal health care. I feel like that would help families so much, and it would also help big corporations as far as, having to pay for that. No deductibles, no premiums. no networks, just give people healthcare. It's a human right. Every day people are wondering, like, am I going to be able to eat dinner, or do I have to pay for these pills? Like, it's not, it's very serious, and it's very serious out here. I know adults that don't eat so their children can eat. So I really, really believe we need to give people healthcare. A second thing would be an economy that actually works for working people. I think we need fair wages. We need to bring federal funds back to small businesses. We need to lower interest rates for small business owners and help first-time homeowners. Again, we don't, I feel like, offer anything substantial for a first-time homeowner. I'm 33, like I said, and I'm looking to buy a house now. I'm looking around New York City, like, where do I even start? A 2-bedroom is $5 million.
Yeah, you're not
like,
going anywhere. I hate to break the news to you, Sal.
Yeah, I'm going to be in the broom closet in Manhattan until this work is done.
There's a spot for you under the Queensboro Bridge. That's all I know.
Exactly. So economy that works for working people, Medicare or universal health care for all, and human rights, not state violence. I want us to help advance human rights again, expand on those rights, especially reproductive rights for women. I feel like we decimated the confidence of like women and how they feel about how they're respected in this country. I think it's just really, really sad. And then one more thing is a humane pathway to citizenship for immigrants. We give them due process if anything illegal is happening, but other than that, we treat them humanely. We bring them in, we give them that pathway that's safe and secure. If they did everything the right way, why wouldn't we do that? That's what America was supposed to be built on. So I am just looking to, I tell everyone all the time, leave this place a little bit better than I found it. I really just want to help people smile again and feel happy and want to, live their lives.
I like that. I think that's a strong platform. I think it's a relatable platform for, you'll have a lot of success with that as you go through the community. You talk with people on their front steps. You talk with them in the streets of Queens. My dad is from Queens. My mom's from the Bronx. I spent a lot of time in Queens myself. Know it very well. It's a neighborhood where, people just talk to each other. It's close knit, in a lot of cases, depending upon what part of town you live in. It's one of the most eclectic communities in the entire country. And, it's just a place where people get to know each other, and you're going to have that opportunity to speak and tell people about your agenda, your policy platform, and what that means for them. I think it's going to be very well received. And if I could add one thing, because I think we're going to close out the show shortly. Last 2 weeks, Mark, you and I have been able to have on a number of guests, several candidates, in addition to yourself, and one small business owner in your community as well. And Patrick, we really appreciate your time and your input today. I think what you're hearing is, and I want to articulate this for the viewer, there's this guy, his name was Joe Rogan. Maybe you heard of him. He's this guy who had an outsized influence on our culture and our politics over the last couple of years. They call this zone he operates in the manosphere. He's a broadcaster or something like that. And there's this idea out there that if you're going to be a man and you're going to communicate with other men about, world affairs, things in your community, that you have to be this cretinous, Neanderthalic dumbass, okay? Instead of someone who's well-read, like Patrick, is communicating to you that he's a man who's well-read in history. He's a military man. We had Marcus on, a military man, guys with great experience, been around the country, probably been around the world, all right? And instead of thinking things like the moon landing was faked in the year 2026, okay, and that somehow Donald Trump meant what he said when he was going to take care of people and that he was going to take care of women. Remember that. And we wouldn't be here if we just took the time to actually read up on things. There wouldn't need to be Dad Bods of Bad Attitudes. You know what I'd rather be doing? Playing my guitar, go playing heavy metal somewhere, doing a rock show, talking about music, talking about guitars and other bullshit. Not doing this podcast talking about fascism every single day. And that's what Joe Rogan and these morons have wrought. Okay? They're stupid, they're ignorant. Now they act all of a sudden as though this is a big surprise what's happening with ICE. Everybody with anything going on between their ears, any neurons firing up here, would know what he meant. and what Stephen Miller was all about and what Project 2025 meant. So we shouldn't be here, but we are here, and it's up to voices like ours to speak up. Okay, if you're going to be a white guy and get murdered in the street by the state, that tells me that basically anybody is fair game and they'll kill anyone. So,
Exactly.
but I've got a big mouth and I'm not going to shut the fuck up. They're not going to shut up guys like you guys and Patrick. I don't hear you shutting the fuck up. They're going to have to take us all down if that's what they think is going to happen. But we're going to rise up. The people are going to rise up. The people are going to win in the midterms. We're going to sweep the deck of the Vern Buchanans who can't take the heat, Mark. And that's why they're getting the fuck out of there, because they can't take the heat from their constituency and from the media and from their competitors like yourself. So we're going to win, and we're going to clear the deck of this fascist bullshit. And that's what's just going to happen, dude, because
that's just what we're going to do.
Stand up. No more Joe Rogan.
That's the end of the story.
No more bullshit.
That's right.
I've been
and
talking
we don't have to agree on everything,
born.
right?
Yeah, 100%.
We don't
have to agree on everything.
That's important.
I told someone they're gonna have to chop me up into bits and pieces to get me to stop, because I'm not backing down for one thing. No matter what happens, I'm staying right here until this is fixed. So I know you are too, Mark. I know you are too, Chris. You too, Patrick.
Absolutely, Mark. Why don't you wrap it up for today?
You got one more thing?
No, well, yes, I guess. You know, one of the policy things that I just would urge you to consider is the reason that I think a lot of people are very hesitant about placing restrictions on the Second Amendment is because of what's happening right now. And while the words common sense gun control do have a very logical and emotional pull, they only are common sense when the people enforcing them have common sense. And the second that you hand that power to say, nah, we don't like your background, you're not allowed to have a firearm, over to the federal government, like Trump right now, given the power, would just, if you voted Democrat, you can't buy a gun. He would do that right now. And if anybody thinks otherwise, you're out of your fucking mind.
You know what? I think that's a fucking powerful point, man.
They would do that
You know?
in a fucking second, and they wouldn't think about twice.
I think Patrick makes a good point when you look at what's going on in the streets right now. They don't care if you're Second Amendment. There was a guy who was legally carrying, now he's dead, named Alex Preddy, and they don't care. And Trump said today, Trump dumbass, senile ass said,
shit.
There can't be guns. He said there can't be guns.
There can't be guns now. Mr. Gun himself.
Who had that on their bingo card that
Mr.
the Republican Party was going to give up on the Second Amendment, dude? I didn't see that coming at all.
I want to know what MAGA thinks today after that. Because now after that, I heard more and more Republican blah, blah, blahs are for impeachment before the end of the year. Bullshit. Come on, let's see. Because now he wants your guns too.
Yeah.
So,
and then, should we close this out? Should I go grab my shotgun?
I want you to wrap it up, Mark. Go ahead.
One thing I wanted to say, just as a little joke, Sal earlier, can't get this out of my head, said he wanted to be simultaneously a veterinarian and own restaurants. Like you want to save the animals and then just immediately kill them.
I hope Trump was
it's like
vegetarian. He's the vegetarian veterinarian.
That's funny.
That is hilarious.
Sorry, I just couldn't get it out of my head, so I apologize.
I
for
should
my
switch
joke.
up when I say that one.
All right, Mark, close us out.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right,
guys.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. I think this is a fantastic episode. You know, I think it's just great that people like us can just get together like this. You know, it's awesome that you live locally, obviously, but Sal, you're in New York, and then Chris is on the East Side. So I think the momentum's there. I think people are just sick and tired of it, and we just got to dial in, you know, how we want to take it forward. And I think there's a lot of things that we need to fix, but at the same time, there's things that we just got to agree on that are differences. And at the end of the day, we believe that America is a place of laws, rules, and constitution, right? And we want to make sure that everybody's abiding by those. So, yep.
Thank you, Mark. Let me give some free plugs here. MarkDavisForCongress.com, MarkDavisForCongress.com, SalForCongress.com, SalForCongress.com. And let's not forget, if you're in the Tampa area and you need something called land services, you want to go to C-State Land Services. Patrick, tell them what you do.
If you're in the Tampa Parish, Sarasota area, and you want a custom home, you give me a call.
C-State.
Perfect.
S-E-A State, not the letter C.
Yes. Sea like
It's important
Florida.
that you get
Or sea
that
like
right.
the ocean, state like Florida.
That's right. Sea State Land Services. All right, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching at home. Keep hope alive. Till next time, Dad Bods and Bad Attitudes. Peace.
Thank you guys so much.
You got it.
Thanks, guys.